We have a quorum. Meeting is now in session. Thank you, council members, for being here and citizens of this fine town. The business for tonight is the purpose of this meeting is to adapt the resignation of is to accept the resignation of the town manager and also to discuss the appointment of the interim and town manager in the process. Well, I don't think that's right. We don't want to discuss the appointment of their interim as much as we do the process of hiring a town manager and or an interim town manager. So I open up the meeting. Council, it's up to you now. Decide what y'all want to do, how y'all want to handle it.
Well, can we go ahead and make a motion to accept that resignation? I'll make that motion to accept the resignation of the town manager.
I think we have to do that, do we have to do that, Andre, I guess?
Yes, you do.
Okay, all right. Okay, I'm sorry. I have a first by, a motion by Jeff.
I second it.
I have a second by Ms. Gaines. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Melissa, your resignation has been accepted. Heavy-hearted. Sorry to see you go. All right, so we need to now talk about how we want to proceed with hiring a new manager, and also whether we think we need to get an interim town manager in here meanwhile.
Mr. Mayor, at this point, has an ad been placed with VML and VACO?
Has that ad been placed? I seen a copy of it.
Yes, it's been placed on both VML and VACO, and it's on our website.
Okay. All right. There was one thing about that. Can we make changes to it with them?
Yes.
Okay. I'll find it. When I do, I'll get back with you on it.
Okay.
Melissa, what was that third website? No.
It's on the Virginia Municipal League website, the Virginia Association of Counties, and then it's on our town website.
Okay, thank you.
So how do y'all want to do, how do y'all want to proceed with hiring? I know we've got it on there. That's why I was even concerned, I guess, about calling a meeting tonight, because I know we had talked in the past about that we wanted to advertise, and that's why I had Melissa go ahead and put it out there sooner the better, instead of trying to wait and get together and even discuss it. But I guess what we need to do now is, how do you want to proceed once we start getting applications? You want to get 3 or 4 of them at one time? You want to look at them one at a time? I mean, you know, how do you want to go with this? This is what y'all need to, we need to decide, because we can hire one quick, or we can take our time and take 2 or 3, 4 months.
Well, I think it's going to depend on the interest that gets shown. You know, if we only get one application, if any, and then a week goes by and nothing else, then I think we should probably take a look at it at that time. I am glad that you called the meeting. I think it was proper and respectful to expediently accept the resignation and set us all on a direction of what we need to do.
I'd like to interject. Jean, you're the only one that has been through this process before. Maybe you've got some insight for us?
Well, like he said, you know, we can't interview until we get some applicants, and before the entire council did the interviewing, which I think is a good way to do it. And like Jeff said, as soon as we, you know, start getting people in, set up an interview and see how it goes.
Did you have many responses with the one before?
No. We did not.
My recollection, I wasn't around for it, but I remember a discussion. I think it was it 2 last time was all it was? Okay.
I personally think we should have an interim town manager until we can move forward with anything, just so we've got something in place.
I got a question. Is the posting, was that for interim position or was that for full-time? It's for full-time. Okay. That's all I wanted to clarify.
No,
You
I
could,
do,
however, also add a posting for an interim if you wanted to.
My take on this is that I feel like we definitely need an interim. I'm a little concerned just because I still feel like there's a lot of, Melissa kind of had that fluid outlook on what was going on, and I know a lot of these folks that are working in the office have been there a while, but I think we still need some leadership there. We're in a different, I know I don't know how many years ago we posted, but we are in a very different situation. We have a lot more going on. We've got a lot more things in place that we've put in processes that we don't want to fall through the cracks. So I'm very favorable of looking for an interim, and that also takes pressure off of us as making a hasty decision, which I think we need to put a date of say 6, whatever you guys want that to look like, and see what we have in that pool of applicants, and then go from there instead of meeting every time we get a couple. I think that's going to be very time consuming and probably not fruitful for us. So that's my take on this.
I would also think that we should have an interim town manager for roughly 6 months, and then at the 3 or 4 month time frame, if that interim is there and they want to convert over to full-time status, and we post that, and at that point have all the applicants. That way we can make a decision before their time runs out at that 6 month, if we set it to 6 months or whatever the consensus of town council is. But I think it is also pertinent that we do have somebody in that position.
Oh, yeah, definitely, I'd agree with you. 6 months, well, 3 to 6 months, something like that. I know that you can go to the agencies and whatnot and request, try to hire an interim in that route. Maybe if we were to go towards an agency, maybe we wouldn't need 6 months, because it's just hey, we need you while we're looking for another one. But yes, if one were to knock on the door and say they want to be an interim, I'd like to get them here for a certain amount of time.
Do we need to vote on that, or how do we proceed?
I agree with everyone in regards to an interim. I do not believe we need to go to an agency, only because the cost will be extremely prohibitive. We really need to vet quite well, even an interim. When we get any applications, which the pickings are going to be extremely slim for a town manager, that needs to be extremely vetted very well. If we get 1 or 2, I don't think we should settle, and we continue to find someone that will grow with the town. Unfortunately, as I see it, a pattern has developed here with town managers, and I think that will cause some concern for an incoming person when they see why we've been through 2 town managers in a 3-year period of time. So whomever applies needs to be extremely well vetted. I think they need, again, to grow with the town. We don't want someone who's only going to be here for 2, 3, 4 years. And I, again, do not think we need to go through an agency, because the cost is enormous, especially now during this time.
Mark, Today I got a copy of the proposal from Reese Peck.
We can't discuss that in this meeting, but,
Okay.
but no, you can talk about whatever, but we can't mention his name or anything like that. But,
Yeah,
if you've got some
I would
comments
just
about
encourage
it.
you not to talk about specific people.
Right, we cannot talk about specific people, but if you have a comment about whatever, I mean, a roundabout way, we can, but we can't
Okay,
talk about him.
what I would just like to say is what I have seen so far, I have not seen anybody qualified to be interim. Is that well put? Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
All right, so consensus is we do definitely want to stay with where we're at now with advertising. We don't want to go with the agency because Valerie is correct, it is expensive. And I don't think anybody else wants to go with them either, do we? No. Okay. Jerry's shaking his head. It is. Now, I do have one applicant that was sent in, and they are available next Thursday if we would like to set up an interview for next Thursday for this individual. I can discuss it, I can send it to you after the meeting, and y'all can take a look at it. So we can do that, and then we can get back. You can let me know if you want to set this meeting up. We can get the meeting set up for next Thursday for an interview. They are available then.
Is that the interim or full-time?
This is a full-time with a willing to do up to a 6-month interim. If we could do something like that, and then that way it gives them time to see how they fit, how we fit in or they fit in with us. But they would be willing to do a 6-month interim, looking to go full-time.
Is that our next council meeting, Mark? Next Thursday? Okay, I would rather we set it up and have them do it like before council or after council or something, because I feel like we're looking at probably doing a lot of meetings, and I think we need to think about being like, yeah. And it shouldn't take that long if we, you know.
Well, our next meeting, we already have, we don't have a work session for May. That's in June. So,
It's only
yeah, I
2
mean, we
weeks.
can do it.
It's about a week and a half out. Let me see, today's the 21st.
I'll have to see if they're available for that Thursday.
Yeah, that was just
But
my
I can
opinion.
check on that. But after the meeting, I can send y'all this applicant. Y'all can look at it. And then, of course, y'all got one that was already filtered around about an interim. So you got that you can think about also.
My only concern again is that we do not jump into, because we're fearful that we won't have anyone by May the 15th. And the fact is, if that happens, it has happened, and we're going to have to deal with that. Sometimes there's things beyond your control. So again, I just don't think we need to jump into everything at this point. And that person needs to be vetted really well.
I agree. But if we do get to the point where May 15th comes around, we don't have anybody, we do have one option that might be available until we can come up with an interim or a permanent. And I can discuss it after the meeting with y'all. I just don't want to make it public knowledge right yet. After we talk about it, there can be public knowledge then. So if we got anything else? Y'all ready to adjourn? We know where we're going with this.
So we are going to put an ad in for the interim, correct?
She can change it, yes.
Okay, thanks, just making sure.
What I was looking at, let me see if I can pull it up.
Do you want me to change the current full-time to interim, or you just want to add an interim?
Add another ad for an interim as well.
Okay,
don't you guys think? Yeah, we don't need to
Absolutely.
confuse people. It's two different positions we're looking for.
Okay.
Right.
Mayor,
And on that permanent position, do you think,
Mayor,
zoning administrator would be good on there, or,
The town attorney is trying to get your attention.
okay. Yes,
I
ma'am.
would recommend that you just adjourn the meeting tonight, and we'll post an additional notice for next week.
I'm sorry, say again?
I think you should just go ahead and adjourn the meeting for tonight, and we'll post another notice of a special meeting for next week.
They don't want to have one next Thursday, but they want to wait till the regular meeting and
Okay.
do it before then. So we'll have to post a special meeting before the regular meeting in May.
That's fine too.
Okay, all right. So I hear a motion to adjourn.
I mean, are we still talking about the interim? I thought we were, so I guess my perspective on that is if we placed an ad for an interim and a full-time town manager, wouldn't that be confusing? In my perspective, we're essentially posting an ad for an interim and then again also for a full-time position, so I'm just trying to gain some clarification on that, I guess. Wouldn't it just be the interim and then we would hold, interviews or review applicants at that point if the interim wanted to continue as full-time?
I think, Ms. Arad, an interim is basically, that's what it is. If they're coming to be an interim, do we even want to give them the opportunity to say, you're an interim with the possibility of potential? Because not all interims will want that. Some of them will just do this as a 3 to 6 month gig.
That's correct.
Well, I think that needs to be, I guess, looked at first before we make a decision to move forward, because that's what we just had. We had an interim that converted to full-time, so if we're not going to do that again, so why wouldn't we just host the full-time position?
The interim that we had was on a trial basis that the last town council had voted on. In November, we opted to give her a position as town manager for a certain amount of months up until March. When she went through that, she accepted a full-time position. So that's how that came about.
Okay.
Also, Arthur, if a lot of times with these positions, they can't start right away. It might be 2 or 3 months, and in that time, we would need an interim to help out a couple of days a week.
I mean, I do agree with that we do need somebody to fill that role, yes. I'm just curious if that individual who fills that role as interim, I guess we're saying that we wouldn't extend the opportunity to them for a full-time position?
They would probably have to apply for the full-time.
Okay.
You also have outside agencies that you can get to fill interims also. You got the Berkeley Group, which that's what they do. They will come in here, they will send somebody in here and fill in while we need somebody. And they're not here for a full-time position, they're just here for interim only. Now, they do cost, and how much they cost, I don't know, but it is something that we can look at to see what, cost would be if it came down to. But that is another option.
Yeah, I guess, Mr. Mayor, to bring that up, I guess a group like that, they also try to fill the position while the interim's here also, from what I saw. So I think that would be also a good possibility. Is that when you guys are saying going with you guys, I guess, brought up a recruiter in the past, that wouldn't be the same because that individual's filling in an interim status, and then they're also trying to fill the position for us also, that group.
It does still cost a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about the group. I hadn't had time to research it. But I know that that's what they do as far as them trying to find somebody for us. That may be an option that we could buy into for that, which would be expensive, because you pay them a pretty good fee
Okay.
for that, when they find you somebody. But just to fill in for a interim manager, I mean, we can check and see how expensive that is, you know, what it would cost us in case we come down and we can't find anybody, and we need somebody to fill in.
Well, it's still pretty hefty
Yeah, I
going through
think so.
Berkeley Group because they're such a specialized professional agency.
Right.
They deal specifically in doing these things, so I'm sure $10,000 minimum just for an interim, and that's cheap.
On these ads that you placed, how soon will that go in? I mean, is that like the first of the month? And it's, I mean,
It's currently active on the websites.
oh, okay.
Is
Thank
it for indefinite until it's filled?
Yeah, I have it as open until filled.
Where do those resumes go?
I set up a special email address, recruitment@townofbowlinggreen.com. So it's the only thing coming into that email address. So when you guys tell me you have a plan on how often you want me to give them to you, I will give them to you guys. After I leave, someone else will be monitoring that email address.
Anybody else before we close the meeting up?
One more question. Melissa, are they, any of those going to a PO box or anything, or they all being sent in via email?
There is an option if someone wanted to mail in a hard copy to, we do have the PO box. However, I think most people would probably submit it by email.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that's customary these days.
I hear no more. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I second it.
I got a first by Mr. Volt, and I got a second by Ms. Gaines. All in favor, say aye. Nay. Meeting adjourned.